Level 1, the browser. You download Tor, it takes 3 minutes. The icon sits on your desktop next to Chrome and Spotify like it belongs there. You click it, the browser opens, it looks exactly like Firefox because it is Firefox. Just configured to route your traffic through 3 random servers before it reaches its destination. You're invisible now, or you think you are. You type dark web markets into DuckDuckGo, Reddit threads from 2019, a Medium article about Silk Road, a Wikia page that lists 20 market URLs, half of them dead. You copy the first .onion link that looks legitimate. You paste it into the Tor address bar. The page loads in 8 seconds, longer than normal internet. You're already getting impatient. The market looks like Amazon designed by someone in 2009, categories down the left side, drugs, fraud, digital goods, and there, fourth from the bottom, weapons. Your cursor hovers over it, you click 16 listings, Glock 19, Beretta M9, a pump action Remington, each one has a photo. That looks like it was taken on a motel bed. Price tags in Bitcoin, $850 for the Glock. $1,200 for the Beretta, escrow available. Ships from Poland, ships from Nevada, ships from somewhere called Eastern EU. You read the reviews. 4 stars. Gun as described. Took 19 days. 3 stars. Scratches on barrel but fires fine. 2 stars. Never arrived. Seller refunded after dispute. You're not buying anything yet. You're just looking. But your heart rate is up. Not from fear. From the fact that this is real. That these listings exist. That somewhere in Poland, someone has a Glock in a drawer waiting to be shipped. That the internet you grew up with, the one with cat videos and recipes, has this underneath it. You close the browser, you delete your history even though Tor doesn't keep one, you sit back in your chair. That was easier than you expected. That's the problem. Level 2, the buyer. You're back. 3 days later, you told yourself you wouldn't be, but you are. You've done more research. You know which markets are scams now. You know which ones have actual reputations. You know the vendors to avoid. The ones who take your Bitcoin and vanish. The ones who send airsoft replicas. The ones who are just FBI honeypots waiting for someone stupid enough to buy. You create an account on a market called Archetype. Username, something random, generated by a password manager. You copy down your recovery phrase on paper, 12 words. You hide the paper in a book on your shelf. You enable 2-factor authentication. You're taking this seriously now. You need Bitcoin. You open Coinbase. You buy $1,500 worth with your debit card. It takes 6 minutes for the transaction to clear. Then you send it to an intermediary wallet. Then from that wallet to another one. Then from that one to your market wallet. 3 hops. You read that. This makes it harder to trace. You don't know if that's true. You do it anyway. You find a vendor called armsdealer_PL. 97 transactions, 4.6 star average. Sells Glocks, Berettas, CZs, and SIGs. All 9mm, all semi-automatic. No rifles, no automatics. He has a note at the top of his profile. I don't sell to people planning stupid shit. You lie to me, I report you. You click on a Glock 19 Gen 4. Comes with 1 magazine, 15 rounds, and a hard case, $920 in Bitcoin. Shipping is $200. You add it to your cart. You stare at the checkout button. You're trying to justify this. Self-defense, collector's interest, fuck you, I can. But the real reason is simpler. You want to see if it works. Like if the internet can deliver violence to your doorstep, the same way it delivers everything else. You click checkout. You enter a P.O. box address 2 towns over, one you rented under a fake name. You send the Bitcoin. The transaction confirms in 40 minutes. The vendor messages you 2 to 3 weeks, track via escrow page. Don't contact me until then. You wait. Every day you check the escrow page. For 9 days, it says processing. On day 10, it says shipped. No tracking number, no carrier, just shipped. You stop sleeping well. Level 3, the package. It arrives on day 17. You drive to the P.O. box at 6 a.m. The parking lot is empty. Inside, the clerk is half asleep. You give him the box number. He disappears into the back. He returns with a package the size of a shoebox. Brown cardboard, no return address. Custom sticker says machine parts. Weight, 4 pounds. Your hands shake as you carry it to your car. You don't open it in the parking lot. You drive home. You bring it inside. You lock your door. You put the package on your kitchen table. You stare at it for 5 minutes before you get scissors. The tape peels off easy. Inside is bubble wrap. Layers of it. You pull it away. Underneath is a hard plastic case. Black. Generic. The kind you'd buy at a hardware store. You flip the latches. You open it. The Glock is wrapped in an oil-soaked cloth. You pull the cloth away. The gun is real. Matte black, polymer frame, metal slide, Glock logo stamped on the side, serial number filed off, rough to the touch. The magazine sits next. To it. 15 rounds of 9mm, brass casings, hollow points. A small baggie contains a spare firing pin and a cleaning rod. You pick it up. It's heavier than you expected. You pull the slide back. The action is smooth. You point it at the wall. You don't pull the trigger, you just hold it. You're holding a weapon that doesn't exist. Not in any registry, not in any database. If you used it, no one could trace it. Not to a store, not to a seller, not to you. You sit down. You set the gun on the table. You think about the guy in Poland who mailed this. You think about the route it took. Across borders, through customs, past security, into your hands. You think about how easy that was. You don't tell anyone. You hide it in your closet. You go online. You leave a 5-star review. Exactly as described. Fast shipping. You're not done. You're just getting started, but you don't know that yet. Level 4. The vendor. You're selling now. It took 4 months to get here. You bought 3 guns, then 5, then 10. You realized you could flip them. Buy for $900, sell for $1,400. People pay the markup because they don't know better, because they're scared, because they don't want to wait 3 weeks for delivery from Europe. You create a vendor account on 2 markets, Archetype and Abacus. You list 6 pistols, Glocks and SIGs. You price them 15% above what you paid. You write descriptions that sound professional. Factory new condition, tested and functional. Ships domestic, arrives in 5 to 7 days. Your first sale happens in 36 hours. You package the gun the way you learned from your suppliers. Hard case inside a box, surrounded by crumpled newspaper. You wrap the newspaper in duct tape so it doesn't shift. You print the label at a FedEx self-service kiosk. You pay cash. You drop it in the bin at 11 p.m. when no one's working the counter. You use a different FedEx every time. You never go to the same one twice in a month. Your buyer receives it. He leaves 5 stars. Your reputation score climbs. You get more orders. You buy more guns. You set up a P.O. box in another state 2 hours away. You drive there once a week to pick up shipments. You cross state lines with 10 firearms in your trunk. You don't get pulled over. You get lucky. You're making $4,000 a month. Then $7,000. You're buying from 3 suppliers now. Arms dealer _ PL, a guy in Texas called Minuteman _ arms, and a new one in Serbia who sells CZ75s for $600. The Serbian guy doesn't speak great English. His listings are full of typos, but his guns are pristine and he ships faster than anyone else. You start getting custom requests. Someone wants a .45, someone wants a carbine, someone wants a gun that looks normal for concealed carry. You fulfill what you can. You turn down the stuff that's too hot. No automatic weapons, no explosives, no 50 cal rifles. You have rules, they feel important, but you're lying to yourself. You know where these guns go. You know what they're for. One of your buyers leaves a review. Used it last night. Worked perfect. You don't ask what he means, you take his money, you ship him another one 3 weeks later. You stop thinking about it, you have to. Level 5, the supplier. You don't buy from vendors anymore. You are the source. It took you 18 months to get here. You started buying bulk from a gun show dealer in Arizona who doesn't ask questions, cash only. No ID required for private sales. You buy 20 Glocks at a time. He gives you a discount, $420 per unit. You walk out of the convention center with a duffel bag full of pistols and no one stops you. You're moving 60 guns a month now. You have 12 vendors who buy from you exclusively. They pay $750 per Glock. You're clearing $19,000 a month. You've quit your day job. You tell people you do drop shipping. They believe you. You rent a storage unit in New Mexico, climate controlled, 24-hour access. You keep 100 guns there at any given time. Glocks, SIGs, Berettas, Rugers, CZs, Springfields. You vacuum seal them in plastic. You stack them in labeled bins. Glock 19, Glock 43X, SIG P320. Each bin is organized by model. You run this like a warehouse. You have spreadsheets. You're shipping to vendors in 8 countries now. Poland, Germany, UK, Australia, Canada, Netherlands, Brazil, Japan. The overseas buyers pay triple. A Glock that costs you $420 sells for $2,100 in Australia. Shipping costs $180. You use fake return addresses. You label the packages as auto parts or machine components or sporting equipment. 60% of them make it through. The other 40% get seized by customs. You price that into your margins. You meet your Arizona dealer every 6 weeks. A Denny's parking lot at 9 p.m. He pulls up in a white Ram pickup. You pull up in a Honda Accord. You pop your trunk. He loads the duffel bags. You hand him an envelope. $8,400 cash. He counts it in his truck. You drive away. The whole transaction takes 4 minutes. He doesn't know your name. You don't know his. You buy from other sources too. A guy in Florida who diverts stock from a police evidence locker. A pawn shop owner in Louisiana who reports guns stolen after selling them to you. A National Guard supply sergeant in Oklahoma who skims from the armory. You pay them more. They take the risk. You take the product. Someone messages you on Archetype. He wants 100 guns. Bulk order. Says he's in Nigeria. Offers you $150,000. You know it's a scam or a Fed. You block him. You get messages like this twice a week. You've learned to spot them. Too eager, too much money, too stupid. That handshake will cost you more than you know. But that's 3 levels from now. Level 6, the armorer. You modify guns now. You learned how from a machinist in Tennessee who used to work for Colt. He taught you to mill slides, install auto sears, convert semi-automatics into full auto. It's illegal as fuck. It's also where the real money is. You charge $2,000 to convert a Glock into a machine pistol. The conversion takes 40 minutes. You drill a hole in the frame. You install a piece of bent wire called a Glock switch. You test fire it in a desert lot at 3 a.m., 30 rounds in 2 seconds. The gun shakes in your hand like it wants to fly apart. It doesn't. You're good at this. Your clients are cartel middlemen, gang armorers, militia preppers. They don't want semi-auto. They want firepower. They want something that sounds like a war. You give it to them. You ship them Glocks with switches installed. You ship them ARs with drop-in auto sears. You ship them MAC-10s you built from parts kits. You're making $40,000 a month. You've moved twice. You live in a rural house in Montana, under a fake name. No neighbors for 3 miles. You have a workshop in the basement. Drill press, lathe, milling machine, benches full of frames, slides, barrels, bolts, pins, springs. You wear a respirator when you work. Metal shavings everywhere. You shower twice a day and still smell like gun oil. You get a message from a buyer in Mexico. He wants 50 converted Glocks. He offers $120,000. You negotiate to $140,000, half up front. He sends 70 grand in Monero. You spend 6 weeks in your basement converting guns. Your hands cramp. Your eyes ache. You finish on a Tuesday, you package them in 5 shipments, you send them to a forwarding address in El Paso. You never hear if they arrive. You just get the second payment 3 weeks later. You know what those guns do. You've seen the headlines, cartel shootout in Sinaloa, 17 dead. You don't know if your guns were there. You tell yourself it doesn't matter. They would have gotten guns anyway. You're just a link in the chain. That's what you tell yourself. You train someone else. A guy who messaged you asking for advice. You charge him $10,000 to teach him the process. He flies to Montana. You spend a weekend showing him the tools, the techniques, the suppliers. He takes notes. He pays you in Bitcoin. He leaves. Now there are 2 of you. Soon there will be more. Level 7, the broker. You don't touch guns anymore. You broker deals. You connect suppliers to buyers. You take 20%. You never see the product. You just see the money. You work with 7 suppliers. They're in 4 countries. They produce a combined 300 guns a month. You have a network of 40 buyers, vendors, cartel contacts, militia groups, private military contractors. Some of them are ex-military. Some of them are criminals. Some of them are both. You don't ask. You don't care. You just verify payment and confirm shipment. Your communication is encrypted. You use Wicker, Session, and PGP email. You never meet anyone in person. You never use your real name. You have 6 different identities. Each one has a backstory, a personality, a way of speaking. You keep notes so you don't mix them up. You've been doing this for 3 years. No one knows who you are. You're clearing $90,000 a month. You live in a condo in Austin. You tell people you're a crypto investor. They believe you because you dress like one. Patagonia vest, Allbirds, MacBook at coffee shops. You pay your taxes. You have a CPA. Your income is listed as consulting fees from an LLC registered in Wyoming. The IRS doesn't care. You're clean on paper. You broker a deal between a supplier in Ukraine and a buyer in Syria. 200 AK pattern rifles. Buyer pays $180,000. Supplier gets $140,000. You keep $40,000. The guns are shipped through Turkey. You never see proof they arrive. You just see the money hit your wallet. You broker another deal. A militia group in Idaho wants 50 AR lowers and parts kits. You connect them with a supplier in Texas. Price $80,000. You take $16,000. The supplier ships them via freight as machine parts. They arrive. The buyer leaves a 5-star review on a private forum you operate. Your reputation grows. You start brokering bulk ammunition. A buyer in Brazil wants 100,000 rounds of 9mm. You connect him with a supplier in the Czech Republic. The supplier diverts stock from a factory he works at. The buyer pays $90,000. You take $18,000. The ammo is shipped in 40 boxes labeled industrial fasteners. 32 boxes make it through customs. The buyer complains. You tell him that's the cost of doing business. He pays you anyway. He orders again. 2 months later, you've insulated yourself. You're 3 layers removed from the product. If someone gets caught, they don't know you. If a shipment gets seized, you're not on the manifest. You've built a system where you're invisible. You're proud of that. You shouldn't be. Level 8, the cartel contact. You work for Sinaloa. Not directly. You're a contractor. You broker arms shipments for their cells in 3 states. Arizona, New Mexico, Texas. You coordinate purchases, arrange logistics, handle the money. You've never met anyone above your handler. You don't want to. Your handler is a guy named Ruben. You meet him twice a year at a Chili's in Tucson. He orders the Cajun chicken pasta. You order a burger. He tells you what they need. You tell him the timeline and price. He nods. You finish your meal. You leave separately. He pays in cash. You pay in cash. The server thinks you're strangers. You're moving guns in volume now. 50 to 100 per month. Glocks. Ours converted machine pistols, 50 caliber rifles. The cartel wants heavy firepower. You get it for them. You coordinate shipments through a network of suppliers you've built over 4 years. You're the hub. They're the spokes. Everyone reports to you. No one knows about each other. You arrange a shipment from a supplier in Ohio. 60 AR-15S with auto sears installed. Price, $180,000. You negotiate him down to $160,000. The cartel pays $200,000. You keep $40,000. The supplier ships them in furniture boxes via commercial freight. They arrive at a warehouse in Juarez. The cartel takes delivery. You get a text. Confirmed. That's all. You arrange ammunition shipments, 100,000 rounds a month. 9mm, 5.56, 7.62. You buy from manufacturers who over-report production and skim the excess. You buy from military contacts who divert stock. You buy from gun shows where sellers don't check IDs. The ammo flows south. The money flows north. You take 15%. You see the news. Shootout in Culiacan. Cartel gunmen ambush police convoy. 14 officers dead. The footage shows men with machine guns. R-pattern rifles. You recognize the furniture on one of them. You brokered that shipment 8 months ago. You know, because you remember the custom Magpul stock. You ordered. It's special. You feel nothing. You used to feel something. Guilt, shame, nausea, but that faded. You have a daughter now. She's 6. She goes to private school. Her tuition is $28,000 a year. You pay it in cash. Her teachers think you're a successful entrepreneur. You're just in a different business than they imagine. Ruben messages you. The cartel wants suppressors, 50 of them. You find a supplier in Utah who makes them in his garage. He charges $800 each. You charge the cartel $1,400. You clear $30,000. The suppressors ship in a truck full of auto parts. They cross the border at El Paso. No one checks. You stop asking why things work. You just let them. Level 9. The fixer. You don't broker anymore. You fix problems. A shipment gets seized, a supplier gets arrested, a buyer gets cold feet, you make it go away. You're paid in 6 figures per job. You work for cartels, militias, PMC groups, and intelligence contractors who can't be seen buying weapons. You are the person they call when things break. You have contacts in customs. They tell you when a package is flagged. You pay them $10,000 to reclassify it as inspected and cleared. It ships. Like, you have contacts in police departments. They tell you when an investigation is targeting one of your suppliers. You warn the supplier. He shuts down. He moves. He opens under a new name 3 months later. You have contacts in freight companies. They lose manifests. They reroute shipments. They backdate paperwork. You pay them. They do it. You fixed a problem for a cartel in Jalisco. Their armorer got arrested in Texas. He had 6 converted machine guns in his truck. He was facing 20 years federal. You paid a lawyer $80,000. The lawyer got the evidence suppressed, illegal search. The case was dismissed. The armorer walked. The cartel paid you $200,000. You earned it. You fixed a problem for a militia group in Oregon. Their supplier died. Heart attack. His inventory was in a storage unit. His wife didn't know what she had. You flew to Oregon. You met her at a Starbucks. You told her you were a business partner. You offered her $50,000 for the contents of the unit. She said yes. You emptied the unit in 2 hours, 100 guns, 50,000 rounds of ammo. You sold it all in a week. You cleared $180,000. You fixed a problem for a PMC contractor in Virginia. They needed 200 rifles for a job in Africa. No paper trail. No serial numbers, no questions. You called in favors from 6 suppliers. You assembled the rifles in a rented warehouse. You shipped them as agricultural equipment. They arrived in Kenya. The contractor paid you $400,000. You never asked what the job was. You don't want to know? You live in a house in Colorado now. Gated community, mountain views. Your neighbors are doctors and tech executives. They think you're a consultant. You have business cards that say logistics specialist. It's not a lie. You throw a barbecue every 4th of July. Your neighbors bring their kids. Your kids play with their kids. You grill steaks. You drink beer. You talk about interest rates and school districts. They have no idea what you do. They never will. You've been doing this for 8 years. You've never been arrested. You've never been investigated. You've never even been questioned. You're careful. You're smart. You're paranoid. You run counter surveillance when you travel. You use burner phones. You never say anything incriminating over a line. You pay cash. You keep no records. You trust no one. Everything changes at level 10. Level 10, the ghost. You've disappeared. Not because you were caught. Yeah, because you chose to. You have $4.2 million in Bitcoin spread across 12 wallets. You have property in 3 countries under 3 different names. You have passports that say you're a Canadian consultant, a German engineer, and an Australian investor. None of them are real. All of them work. You're living in Montenegro, small coastal town, population 11,000, no extradition treaty with the US. You rent a villa on the Adriatic, you swim every morning, you drink coffee at the same cafe every afternoon. The locals think you're a retired businessman. You are. You just don't tell them what business. You still get messages encrypted, forwarded through 3 servers, old clients asking for help, new clients asking for connections. You don't respond. You've trained yourself not to. You deleted your Wicker. You burned your session keys. You wiped your PGP. You don't exist anymore. Not in that world. You think about the guns sometimes, late at night, when you can't sleep. You think about the paths they took, the hands they passed through, the triggers that were pulled. You saw a news story 6 months ago. Mass shooting in Phoenix, 11 dead. The gunman used a converted Glock. Machine pistol. You don't know if it was one of yours. You tell yourself it wasn't. You know that's a lie. The odds say it was. You think about the people you worked with. Some of them are in prison. You saw the indictments. Operation Iron Pipeline, 14 arrests. 3 of them were your suppliers. They got 20 years each. One of them tried to flip, offered names. They didn't have yours. You were always 3 steps removed. You were always careful. They're rotting in federal prison, and you're watching the sunset over the Adriatic. You don't feel guilty. You feel lucky. You think about your daughter. She's 12 now. She lives with her mother in Austin. You send money, a trust fund. It pays out $6,000 a month. Her mom thinks it's from investments. It is. Just not the kind she imagines. Your daughter doesn't know what you did. She thinks you're a consultant who travels a lot. She's right. She just doesn't know what you consulted on. You're sitting in your villa. It's a Tuesday. You're drinking espresso. You're reading the news on your laptop. A headline catches your eye. Dark web gun market shut down by FBI. You click it. They arrested 40 people, vendors, buyers, 1 supplier in Poland. You recognize the name, arms dealer _PL, the guy you bought from 8 years ago. Your first purchase, the Glock that started everything. He's going to prison. You're drinking coffee in Montenegro. You close the laptop. You walk to the window. The sea is calm. The sun is bright. You're 43 years old. You're retired. You're free. You're alone. Somewhere in Ohio, a kid downloads Tor. It takes 3 minutes. The icon sits on his desktop next to Chrome and Spotify like it belongs there. He clicks it. The browser opens. He types dark web markets into DuckDuckGo. He finds a list of URLs. He clicks one. The page loads in 8 seconds. He sees categories: drugs, fraud, digital goods, and there, 4th from the bottom, weapons. His cursor hovers over it. He clicks.